So, did you watch the great debate last night? Sounds like Big Bird's out. I've got my cast of specialists, including Craig Robinson, in the studio today, along with Tom Coates and Brian Leach. It's going to be a good one.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. That's 855-244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, good afternoon. A little bit after 3 o'clock on this 4th day of October in the Lord's year 2012. That's for us Gentiles. If not, it's 5773, and we welcome you to this post-election debate conversation on 99.3 KTIA. I have surrounded myself with wonderful experts today. Craig Robinson is in from the
IowaRepublican.com.
The IowaRepublican.com, thank you. And Tom Coates is in from Consumer Credit of America. And also Brian Leach from Service Legends here today as we talk a little bit about the election. And those of us who watched it are the only ones allowed to comment.
It's too bad I controlled the mic board then, huh?
But you didn't watch the debate.
But I've watched the highlights at this point.
Oh, so you've watched the talking points that the network news wanted you to see.
He said he was watching reruns of Big Bird.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so, and what I have to do today, Lord, please help me to be humble. Because I don't feel very humble today, you know, after being bashed and bashed and bashed by the liberal media for so long, to have Romney come out on the first debate, and, you know, I think all three of us, have you ever met Romney?
Personally?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. And I'm not trying to single you out, but we all have been around him long enough in 2008 that's the guy we all knew last night. Sharp, witty, doesn't need a teleprompter to give a right answer, has the numbers on the top of his head. And I think we saw the Obama that we all know is the real guy,
right,
without a teleprompter and without the media holding him up and without somebody showing him the answers.
And throwing softball questions at him, or no questions as he gives a statement and walks away. Yes,
right.
Exactly.
So let's start with you, Craig.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, you're the expert here. Let's start out with the facts and the expert advice.
Well, you couldn't have had a better debate for Mitt Romney.
Turn that mic towards you a little bit.
You couldn't have had a better debate for Mitt Romney and Republicans last night. Well, you have to realize probably 50 to 60 million people tuned in to watch that debate, and they're not all going to watch the first, or they're not going to watch the entire 90 minutes, but they might hold on for a half hour or so. And then even the first moments of that debate, I thought Romney came off exactly how you would want a candidate to come off in a debate. He was likable, knowledgeable, detailed, serious.
Park it here for just a second, Craig. One of my counselors asked me just the last thing before I left the office. He said he needs to be forceful enough. A lot of people were afraid he wasn't going to be forceful. And I said, yes, but he's got to walk this fine line.
He's got to
walk the line and be forceful and aggressive and yet likable.
Yep.
That was more important, especially for the female audience, the female undecideds especially, because the women look at these candidates much different. Men like a boxing match. They like it, get aggressive and get after each other. The women want it to be nice.
And Romney struck a great tone throughout this entire debate. And he was interested. He was... Look, there's been all these complaints that he wasn't detailed enough, that he wasn't running on specifics. And then you hear all that, you tune into the debate, and you say, whoa, wait a minute. This is the guy who has all the answers and the data and all the stuff. And he did it in a way that he wasn't just computing knowledge. He was using it to back up his positions. And I thought that time after time after time again, Romney looked presidential in this debate, and Obama looked uninterested, unpresidential, and I don't know what on earth he was trying to accomplish in this debate except get it over with.
Craig Robinson from the Iowa Republican is our guest today, along with Brian Leach and Tom Coates. Let me tell you something that really rang true for me today. I have a friend, and she is a moderate liberal. She's not a flaming liberal, but she's a moderate liberal. And voted for Obama and really has some disdain for Romney for all the reasons that are basically media driven.
Right.
Okay. She calls me today and she says, "Guess what I'm doing right now?" And I said, "I don't know. What are you doing?" "I'm putting a Romney sign in my front yard." Ooh, she was incredibly impressed, saw somebody that made her feel, and this was her words, serene.
Ooh. Interesting.
Made her feel, for the first time in this campaign, this year-long battle that we've been doing here in Iowa, more than a year, she said, "I was really serene about knowing who to vote for."
Well, and we know, Mac, this is an individual, anecdotal, but I had the feeling, and you just given some further legs to my feeling, that this scored points with that mushy middle, that undecided, especially the females. He came across as decisive but nice, and what they are looking for, in Ann Coulter's words, is a guy to act as their surrogate husband. And I think between those two, they could see a guy that could take charge and yet still be nice to them in front of those cameras last night. I have a feeling that this is going to score, I think, big for Romney. Pat Buchanan, did you see the Pat Buchanan interview afterwards?
I saw part of it.
We had a chance to meet Pat Buchanan here 4 or 5 years ago when he was in for the caucuses. He's aged a lot, but he's been through a lot. And he said, "I can't imagine a better debate performance by Romney." And he said, "It is the best that I have seen," and that goes back decades. So perhaps, Craig, it wasn't as much as Obama's failings, although he looked inadequate. It may be just contrasted with an outstandingly good performance by a man who I argue, and have continued to argue, we have been hearing this media mantra that Obama is the smartest guy to ever walk the earth for years now. I don't see any evidence of it. We can't find his college transcripts anywhere. I think the IQ candle power contrast was on display last night. I think the Romney intellect, which I know is exceedingly high, one of the smartest guys around, contrasted with a guy who's not a dummy, but he isn't near that smart.
Well, I thought one of the things that you're going to see, all these polls that have come out in the last 2 weeks that have showed the president taking a lead in these swing states. One of the top questions where Romney struggles is who's the stronger leader? That has been going to the president in a large margin. I think, even it's a 50% for Obama, 30-some for Romney. I think last night's debate performance by Romney changes that dynamic completely. And I think that's why you'll see him move up in the polls, and I think that's why he also will appeal to more independents. I also thought Romney did a really good job of recapturing the tax argument. And taxes is another issue where Obama's done really well against Romney in the polls. And so I thought that how Romney talked about taxes and debt and the deficit, which is a Romney advantage issue anyway, but talking about taxes, I thought he actually kind of reset the stage there too. So if we're going to see Romney grow with independent voters, I think it's because he did a lot of work in this debate. On top of performing well, I actually thought his subject matter was very good. And by the way, you talked to someone who voted for Obama before. I watched my Facebook feed, and I'm friends with a lot of conservatives who kind of have sour grapes about Mitt Romney being our nominee. These people were excited last night.
Yeah, exactly.
These people are saying, hey, this is a fighter. I really like this guy.
Exactly.
And Romney didn't have to throw out much red meat. I mean, this is who Mitt Romney was last night. That excited him.
And to enthuse the base, this will also mean more funding coming into the campaign. I think there was some concern that the base was disenchanted and was kind of starting to slow down on the giving. This should re-energize that aspect too, wouldn't you say, Craig?
Yeah, absolutely. Fundraising boost, positive media boost, everything is all good for Romney today.
Craig Robinson is our guest today, along with Brian Leach and Tom Coates, Father Tattoo being correctively silent in the producer's booth today. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is The View from a Pew on the 4th day of October, and we're talking the debate last night.
I haven't been corrected one bit. Not one thing has been said here that has changed my mind on my position.
Do you
I hear
some
some buzzing around. It's a
I hear
fly or
but I'm
something.
not
I don't
sure
know
what it is.
It's Charlie Brown's parents.
Yeah, there you go. Brian, you're not. You're kind of in a studio here with three political junkies.
Yep.
You're not a political junkie.
Yeah, in some capacity, I have some advantages because I don't get drawn into the media component of it. I get to just sit back and watch the leadership qualities, and I appreciated what both of you had said, that he showed a high level of intelligence and the Romney that we know, and I would ascertain even more so the emotional intelligence of not falling victim to the repeated banter on Obama's side of, well, yeah, but you're $5 trillion deficit. He just kept pounding that same drum as if he was just programmed in script. No matter what Romney says, pound your $5 trillion drum. Pound your $5 trillion drum.
Did you hear his very on target finally come back to that about being the father of 5 boys? Did you happen to catch that?
I did.
I mean, that was great.
The emotional intelligence that he had, knowing the audience and how to respond, and he wasn't responding to Obama. He was responding to the audience and the message going out to the American public. So I enjoyed it.
And are you decided?
Yeah, I was decided the moment that he was chosen as the candidate.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember Carver, our governor. No,
Culver.
Thanks.
He's easily forgotten.
I've tried to forget him too.
I was sitting there talking to him one evening, and he said, "So what are you? Are you a Democrat or Republican?" And I said, "Well, let me tell you what I think, and then you tell me." And he's like, "Well, you sound kind of Republican Democrat. You're for the people, but you don't like the Democrats." So it was an interesting little conversation I had, because I care about people, but I also know that prosperity and abundance comes from running a good financial budget, and business is what supports the golden goose, so to speak, in America, and yeah. So,
Craig, you've been a Romney. Well, have you been a Romney supporter since he was the front runner?
I guess I wouldn't classify myself as a Romney supporter. I mean, I've been positive about him being the nominee. I've also raised some questions about his campaign and how it's run. So I'm more of an analyst and look at how things are going more so than a fan of or a supporter of. So I've been critical, but I'm supporting him. I'm going to vote for him.
Okay. And what do you think someone who is still undecided prior to 7 p.m. last night, what do you think was said or heard that should be at least enough ammunition to start to sway that undecided voter in Romney's camp?
Look, this election cycle's different than the one that we had in 2010, but I also think there are strong similarities. I think this is a competence election. And I think when you turned on your television set last night, or even I listened to the first question on the radio, and it came through there too. When you turn it on, who is a competent leader? Who do you trust to run this government, to get us out of the mess we're in? And I think Romney answered that question with flying colors, and I thought Obama really struggled. He didn't have anything he spent all night either attacking Mitt Romney for a $5 trillion tax cut that Romney says he doesn't support, and frankly, I'm a Republican who would love a tax cut, and I haven't heard on the campaign trail, and so I don't know who they're fooling there. And then he went into Bill Clinton mode. I mean, it was almost like watching Obama last night was like reading a piece of literature that was written in 3 different aspects: first person, second person, and third person.
Yeah.
It was disconjointed. It didn't make any sense to me, because at some points Obama sounded like an outsider who's trying to run for president. Then the next time he's talking about how great Bill Clinton was, and that's a long time ago. And thirdly, it was about Mitt Romney and how bad he is. Nothing about Barack Obama's debate performance was about, this is what I accomplished in 4 years, which I thought was striking.
One of the big questions and reservations that a lot of people with a biblical worldview have is a challenge with Romney and his denomination, his religion, however you want to look at that. Let's unpack that when we come back. Let's break that down a little bit. Specifically, Brian, I want to hear from you on that.
That's a great journey. I'd like to go down.
You're a good Christian man, and all the guys are in my studio, and we're thankful to have them all here live on KTIA Iowa.
Tired of pretending that life is perfect? If what they see isn't how you feel, God knows, and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
It's like they want to get hit.
Need a body shop?
Minor Wreck Express saves you time and money.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. And he said not only would he like to be a sponsor, but he would offer a $100 tithe for every customer that came and bought a car from him directly to the church of your choice. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Have you ever been told you're not a good enough Christian? Well, we have too. Join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. Now here's your host, president of the Not a Good Enough Christian Club, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, thanks. 21 after the hour on the 4th day of October in the Lord's year 2012. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and we have a panel of wonderful guys in here today. It's a boys' club. We could have had Tamara Scott in here. There was a lot of good, fine young ladies out there. But anyway, Craig Robinson, next time just come and address. All right. Craig Robinson is here from the Iowa Republican, Tom Coates, Consumer Credit, and Brian Leach from Service Legends. And we're talking about the debate last night. And I'll just apologize to you up front. If any of us sound a little pompous or arrogant, I'm sorry. I don't think any of us here want to sound that way. Brian won't sound that way. But the three of us have been in Romney's camp for a long, long time, and we are so tired of taking these lies and these media fantasies about who Mitt Romney is, because we all know him. We know who the guy is. He's been in our homes. We know who he is. And yet the media has just beaten this guy up. And I love the way Romney last night kept saying, I don't have that tax. Wasn't that what it was?
Yes, yes.
I don't know where you got that. And Obama just kept pounding it home, and he kept saying, I don't have that tax.
Well, the
Where'd you
line
come up
that he
with
used to shut him down was outstanding, Mac. Okay, you know, I'm the father of 5 sons, and I'm used to my boys coming and telling me the same thing over and over, hoping that I will believe it.
Yeah. Right. Well, I also liked...
he paralleled him to a small child.
That's exactly right.
What he did.
Exactly right.
I actually felt that entire debate felt like a father figure talking to a misinformed son.
And talk about a brilliant approach.
Right.
I mean, many politicians could have come slinging and gunning. You're lying, Mr. President.
And the president looked
would've.
like you would expect a son who had disappointed his father and has taken it. I mean, there was a lot of nods and a lot of the body language in this debate was horrible for the president.
that especially what you just said was typified when he said, I don't know how, Mr. President, you can spend 2 years ramming Obamacare down the throats of the American people and not doing anything about the jobs. Mm-hmm. And he almost looked like he was hanging his head and was being called to the principal's office at that point, didn't he?
Well, and what about and I don't remember the exchange exactly, but something about you spent $90 billion on green jobs and ended up with absolutely nothing.
Mac, remember how that started out? What he did was he picked up what Obama was laying out for him, just like he did with the Massachusetts health care. He picked this up when Obama thought he could gain some points by demonizing big oil, which is a standard ploy by the liberals. And yet he came back and said $2.8 billion was spent, on the subsidies for big oil. And most of that, he said, went to small companies for drilling and service work. He said, in contrast, you spent $90 billion on green jobs. And he said, now, I like green jobs, but he said, like my friend said, you don't pick winners and losers, you only pick losers. And he used Solyndra and some others specifically. And he said, this is 50 times the amount of money that oil is taking.
Here's the exact comment. You put $90 billion into green jobs, and I'm all in favor of green energy. $90 billion, that would have hired 2 million teachers. $90 billion?
That was 50 times what he spent to oil. Now, he said, when we cut their tax rate, he said oil will give up that $2.8 billion. He said, but we've got to put money where, in essence, it's going to be utilized properly and let the private sector decide these things.
All right. Now, Brian, you have a very refreshing view of things like this because you're not a armchair political. Well, I guess you're a professional political analyst. Tom and I are armchair political analysts. But you have a very refreshing view. Give us some of your things that you saw last night.
Well, as Tom was even saying right there, the $90 billion into if we create additional jobs, support the success of the small business, medium businesses, they will fund that research on their own because it will strategically give them a competitive advantage in so many ways. The American dream or the entrepreneurial things that take place in this world or in this country is what moves this country forward. It's the heartbeat of it. Tying all the way back and going into a different rabbit trail, but tying all the way back to a solid Constitution and Declaration of Independence are formal documents that this country's founded on. Those principles will stand the test of time. Do not chain them and lock them down and hurt business. Create jobs, support business, and the rest will happen. That is what moves the economy. A big government, huge overhead is not what moves the economy. So,
Craig, can you shed some light for me? I'm talking to you like I'm a 6-year-old here. I don't understand what's happened to all these coal jobs, these coal mining. Is this truly a Obama thing? Or is this from Bush and Reagan and Clinton when all this regulation started coming in when the tree huggers started screaming loudly?
Most of the regulations that have really crippled the coal industry have occurred under the Obama administration, and it's not through laws that are passed. This is how an administration can tighten its grip on an industry and cause it to shed jobs. And so these are done through executive orders and different regulations that the president himself can impose, or the EPA, which he controls,
exactly
can do. So, look, I mean, it's laughable when the president stands up there like he did last night, that he does on the the campaign trail and says, look, I want America to be energy independent. The truth is, no, he doesn't. I mean, if anyone's a liar in this campaign, it's the president. I mean, this is a guy who shut down Keystone Pipeline. This is a president who has crippled the coal industry.
Really crippled it.
And really crippled it.
And said they were going to. It's at the outset. He and
This is
Biden
their
both
agenda.
gave stump speeches that you can run a coal company if you want to, but we're going to bankrupt you.
Why? Why is this administration against the coal industry?
It's because of who they worship. I mean, a true liberal doesn't worship the Lord like we do around this room. They worship the environment and
big government.
and big government, because big government's going to provide these people. These are the same people who don't mind paying. I gassed up this morning, $3.67 a gallon, because then maybe Craig won't drive as much. Well, Craig has to drive as much as he does. I don't like to drive to cruise around town, and I'm driving a Toyota Camry. It ain't eating gas.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are the people who think high gas prices are fine because we need to be more responsible and not drive as much.
Is there any, and I don't want to go down a red herring here, but is there any relation to him shutting down the coal industry as to him being favorable to the oil-producing companies of the Middle East? Or is that a real stretch?
I don't know. I mean, my thing, though, is if you really want to make America more energy independent, I think you can. We have all the resources in the world here.
How many gallons of oil do we have? In one reserve, we have a massive reserve sitting underground.
Sure,
we just don't
have
tap.
massive reserves. Alaska, North Dakota,
Trillions of gallons.
I mean, it's tremendous. And coal contributes to over 50% of our electricity production that we have in this country. There, you can run all the wind you want to. Although wind, I think, has some downside. You can run all the solar, but you cannot, in our lifetimes, replace the need for coal as a generator for electricity.
Well, and power is important. Electricity is important, and the mindset of the more liberal party in America. Look, they're the reason that they didn't build the coal-powered plant up in Marshalltown, which would have created hundreds of good-paying jobs. And by the way, you need extra energy sources if you want Iowa to grow and to attract more companies. Why do you think Google and IBM and all these people bring their data farms to Iowa? It's because we have water sources to cool the facility, and we have cheap electricity. So, the fact that plant didn't get built is a big deal for Iowa. And it didn't get built because there's environmental activists on panels that create a stink that tell these businesses, look, we tried, we wanted to bring this to your community, but we can't go through lawsuit after lawsuit
Why do you think nuclear is not getting built? We want to build a nuclear power plant in this state too.
Who is fighting it?
Well,
tree huggers.
Yeah.
Craig Robinson, Brian Leach, and Tom Coates are my extinguished panel today as we discuss the debates from last night. Brian, go back to you for just a minute. When you hear Mitt Romney talk, you're a as we all are, but you're a devout follower of Jesus Christ, and yet you know that he belongs to depending on how you want to look at it, either a different religion or a denomination of the Christian religion. How does that play into your deciding that doesn't matter, he's okay?
Well, we'll start with my platform. I believe that they believe what we believe, plus some. Okay. So some additional, and I personally believe that there's some delusion onto Joseph Smith and those type of things, but that does not change the person per se. That is certainly human nature and Satan's capacity to create trickery and different things like that. One of my dearest friends is Mormon, and he is one of the most solid leaders in my life, has taught me an incredible amount, incredibly driven for his family and to teach them values and those type of things. And the semantics of how many layers there are in heaven and the own planet and things like that. I've sat with them. I've prayed with them. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. And they read scripture from Old Testament, from New Testament plus. Okay, I call it Christianity plus is my perspective. And I don't agree, but it doesn't make it doesn't change the characteristics and qualities of the individual as a leader.
And most importantly, I'm asking a question, not making a statement. Those beliefs don't make them anti-Christ.
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I mean, I came to Christ 4 or 5 years ago, and this mentor, this Mormon mentor of mine, teaching me life skills and principles and business ethics and all types of things like that, was jumping up and down with just utter happiness and thankfulness that I accepted Christ as my Savior.
Not
fully
upset
supported
that you
me.
hadn't run to the Mormon church.
Yeah, no, and he said the only time on a trip with him, he said, you know, because I asked about it. I said, tell me what are the differences, those type of things. He said, you know what, I would recommend that you pray to Christ and ask for those answers. Leave it between you and Christ. And he didn't even push it.
So what would you say to another quote-unquote devout Christian man who has a biblical worldview who, because he's a Mormon, won't vote for him?
Well, what would I say? Wow. That leaves you one other choice.
Brian, I can add some
That leaves you
pressure.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm the guy.
You're the guy?
I'm the guy.
Cool. Well, okay. Stay quiet.
He's the lost lamb we're talking about.
I think if we're going to take that stance, then, or if someone takes that stance, they better be contributing to the continued degradation that we're going to have to our economy and deficit. They better be part of the solution. If they're going to support an individual that has taken us or continued us down this path of economic disparity, I'm not going to blame one president. No one president's going to change the world, but they can certainly build a rhythm and a theme for the future.
Well, and we're going to hit a break here, but let's all, and we'll talk about this when we come back. 4 more years of Obama. That's just not 4 more years. That's just not 365 days times 4.
Well, at $90 billion, that's a lot of years.
Yeah. Craig, I want to especially go to you first and have you tell us what you think's going to happen here in the next 4 years if Obama's leash is let go and he's got 4 more free years. We're coming back. We're live here on The Truth, 99.3 KTIA, Iowa.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything he did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going, though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
It's 3:38, 22 before the top. Salem Radio Network News at 4, and then 4:03. It is day 4 of True Blue, starring Pastor Michael Mudloff, and he's talking about the very same thing we're talking about today. How do you vote from the pulpit if you're a Christian? And should be a great conversation with Chris Roloff. That's today at 4:03 right here on The Truth, 99.3 KTIA. All right.
Well, can I ask the reverse of that before we go where you're going?
Sure.
What's Obama's religion and beliefs and faith?
He says he's Christian.
Okay. All right,
Well,
I'm just curious.
He says a lot of things, and
His
the
actions.
Bible tells us to look for the quality of the tree by its fruits.
Look at their values, and look at how can I rationalize supporting someone that doesn't share my religion or theology? Well, I can look at the values of Mitt Romney, and while there are some areas publicly and as governor that I might disagree with, if you look at the values of his family and the values of the Mormon Church, I don't disagree one lick with them.
Sure.
And so
when we talk about Constitution and we talk about how this country was built, what are the values this country's built on, and which presidential candidate is going to best serve and support those values?
And look at the man's personal values. How much does he give to church and charity? And contrast that with the Joe Biden, or up until a few years ago, an Obama. Carter, Clinton, pretty much the same thing. Very little money towards it. They're great to give somebody else's money. But other people's money is fair game.
Even beyond that, Tom.
But that's just one issue. But that's a big piece of the fruit on the tree.
Tom Harkin is a Catholic, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up Catholic and share those Catholic values. I was brought up in a good Catholic home. But what are his values as a politician? They don't match his church. No. So I think we really have to look at the individuals here.
But that's what I'm saying. When he divulges his tax records and he shows that he is giving millions of dollars to church and charity, you contrast that with what the man really believes. And he's not just doing this for the political campaign. He's done this year in and year out.
Absolutely.
Craig Robinson from the Iowa Republican, Tom Coates, and Brian Leach are our guests today. When we came back from that break, we wanted to talk about help me.
The next 4 years.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. The next 4. Well, we got a call coming in, and I'm not sure that
you had
call's
it
going
clear,
on the
Mac.
air.
I took you down the road for a second.
Oh, that's all right. All right, let's go to the phone here. Hi, you're live on The View from a Pew. Who's this?
This is Roger.
Hey, Roger. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well, Mac. I got a question for you guys. I don't know if you've talked about, I don't think you have today yet, the lesser of two evils thing, but I cannot vote for Mitt Romney, not because he's a Mormon, but because he has been pro-abortion and he is for homosexual marriage. Now, he says he's not, but if you look at his record in the state of Massachusetts and what he made available in his health care program for abortions for almost nothing, his record is very strongly pro-gay marriage.
Okay, but Obama's is the same, Roger, so how does that bring you to being an Obama fan?
Hang on, just your break. I can't understand you guys on my phone for some reason. I got some kind of distortion. So.
Oh, all right. Well, we appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's discuss that a little bit.
Well, I don't know.
That's the Steve Deace lesser of two evils argument. I don't think even any record is to the point on abortion, on gay marriage, anything like that puts Romney in the same boat.
Right.
Now, for instance, on the abortion, some people take issue with him because he says, I want an exemption for rape, incest, and threat to the woman's life.
Right.
I don't want any other abortions performed, but I'll allow those. Obama, on the flip side, it was the only one 4 times, Mac, you said the other day, to stand up and vote for infanticide. If the baby's born outside the womb on a biased late-term abortion, you can kill the baby.
Right.
That is extreme, and the same thing on homosexual marriage. There's no indication at this point. Now, he was dealing with a heavily Democratic state in Massachusetts. To compare the things that he had to swallow to be the governor of Massachusetts and the things that he perhaps would have preferred to do or would do today isn't the same. I don't think his stance on homosexual marriage, abortion, or any of these other cultural issues stand up and you say, well, they're the same as Obama, so how can I vote for him? That's ridiculous. There's dramatic differences between these two guys.
Can I bounce off of that? It seems to me, political, Mr. Political. Hopefully, you'll debate me. Yeah, the professional. But it seems to me an individual that absolutely will stand solid on principles all the way from all the different ranks through the government. At some point in time, there's some sort of value sacrifice for a different sacrifice, and that is the way our system seems to be set up, which is a challenge in the system itself.
0.7% of all abortions are rape or incest. So if you take the 53 million, I just did the calculator on my little dumb phone here. If you take the fact that we've had 53 million abortions since Roe versus Wade, that means that we would have only lost 37,100 babies compared to 53 million.
Yes.
Now, who isn't going to take that compromise?
Exactly, and to have somebody... I listened to a woman that was the product of a rape. She was born, and she was on Dace's show. And Dace thought he had her just where he wanted.
Rebecca Kelsey.
He loves to bash Romney. So he says, how can you vote for a man that gives... you wouldn't be alive today, all this stuff. She says, I'm voting against Obama. Obama is so extreme. I don't care who's running against him. I am voting against Obama. And he was just the air went out of his balloon at that point.
Yeah. Craig, the question to you. So what's it look like in 4 years with a guy like Obama?
Well, I think if the one thing people need to remember that if this president is elected to another term, the news media, Obama, the Democrat Party are going to say they now have a mandate.
Right.
Okay. When was the last time that Democrats felt like they had a mandate? It's called 2008. And what were those 2 years like when there was no Republican House to slow down the Democrat agenda? They passed health care reform, and they didn't care. They did not care what the opposition thought. Not just the opposition party. They didn't care what Americans thought that were opposed to it. Then we thought, we felt run over on healthcare. Then coming down the track was cap and trade, right?
Right.
And we thought we were going to get run over again. Thankfully, we didn't.
Yeah.
But that is what I fear about. But most importantly, besides all the financial stuff, do you want to let Barack Obama maybe appoint the majority of members to the Supreme Court?
That will sit for 20 years.
That will sit for 20 to 30 years.
Good point.
So that even when he's long gone, that his philosophy is still being put through that court. Now, do I think Mitt Romney is going to put perfect judges on the court? No. I mean,
nobody's not going to put Elizabeth Kagan
either. Right, you're absolutely right. But no one can guarantee, and people will point to all these judges appointed by Republicans who didn't turn out right. Well, look, Justice Roberts is a good justice, and he really disappointed a lot of people, including myself, with how he came down on Obamacare. You don't know how there's no guarantee of what you're going to get. But I'll tell you this, I would rather deal with Mitt Romney's choices on the Supreme Court than having Barack Obama appoint 5 of the 9.
You just answered the caller's question. Why should I vote for Mitt Romney instead of Obama? That one point alone ought to answer the man's question.
Yeah, because you know that Obama... One of the things Obama's going to do is manipulate. He's going to tell those Superior Court justices that are getting ready to retire or should retire, maybe a couple years after the 2016 elections, he'll tell them to go...
That caller, is worried about Rogers worried about gay marriage, right? Obama hasn't put a person on the Supreme Court yet that's even been married. So I mean, Kagan and Sotomayor are single women. I mean, I'm not saying that they all have to be married, but I mean, like, he's going down this road that I don't think that those two are representative of American values.
And the court is about to hear a lot of cases that are working their way up there on the gay marriage.
Yes.
And judicial activism, just like we've had here in Iowa, is what we have to fight against. Not the will of the people, but the judicial activism. And so, again, the caller's been asked and answered. I mean, that alone ought to shoot it down.
One segment left. It's your voice we want to hear at 1-855-244-0077. Craig Robinson, Tom Coates, and Brian Leach, and we're back live on The Truth, 99.3 KTIA, Iowa.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Do you ever get tired of pretending that life is perfect?
It's like they
If
want
what
to
they
get
see
hit.
isn't how you feel, God knows, and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, and it's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
10 before the top, 4:03 will be the True Blue, just True Blue with Pastor Michael Mudloff. And let's go to the phones where Mike is standing by. Mike, you're live on The View from a Pew. What you say?
Hey, guys, how you doing? Thanks
Good.
for taking my call. Just real quick question here. I was like your other caller that was on the air. I hold to the lesser of two evil view, and this is my question for you guys. You know, not to stir up anything too much, but as a Christian, I believe in God's sovereignty, and I believe that ultimately God is in control. And like Scripture even says, God sets our leaders in office, and God also takes them away. Promotion is of God, is what obviously Proverbs says. So with that background, and if we are to vote for something that is based on God's word, by knowing someone by their fruit, like was stated earlier, when Mitt Romney has showed by just his previous fruit, previous efforts, how can someone who feels, I guess, convicted as a Christian to not vote for Mitt Romney, and why is that automatically a vote for Barack Obama? I mean, why, in your view, is it just these two people when if someone is voting their conscience and voting according to God's word, you know, that understanding of what it says, how can that be a vote for Obama, and how can that be a vote for Mitt Romney? And I guess...
All right, Mike, stay on the line. Just stay on the line for just a second. Craig, I'll let you answer that first.
Sure. Look, these are difficult things, and I know that people, especially when we're talking about a presidential election and your choice, it's a very personal thing that you're voting on. You're very connected to your vote. That said, you really have two options in this election. You have Barack Obama or you have Mitt Romney. And I know there's other people on the ballot, and you can feel really good about yourself and you can remain pure by taking yourself out of the ball game. But what is that going to do to the issues that you're so passionate about? So if you don't vote for Mitt Romney and he loses, okay, we re-elect President Obama, we have a very liberal court. So what's that going to do for gay marriage in the future? What's it going to do to the life issue in this country? Because we're going to continue down the road so far, so left, so extreme, that we're all going to be sitting there one day and saying, wow, this country doesn't even look like, the one I remember.
This ties back to the deeper issue is values and intent. What is the intent of the president and the president to be? What is the intent of the two candidates? And use your intuition and judgment based upon behavior, previous experiences to determine that, because the government is not going to fix marriage. This is a values issue within our country, within the way our children are being brought up, within our families. This is a values issue not to be fixed by a president.
I would also argue, and look, Mitt Romney is not my choice to be our nominee. I think there are better candidates out there. But he is our Republican nominee. He is a better option for me than re-electing President Obama. But I'd say this. When those issues come up onto his desk and he can make a decision one way or the other, I actually think that the right in this country, the people that share our views for traditional marriage and life, can lobby Romney effectively to get a result that we like. Whereas look at what happened with healthcare with Barack Obama. He did not care. People were in the streets. I saw Chuck Grassley surrounded by 500 people, and it was a mob about healthcare. And you know what? The president saw that too, and you know what he said? Sucks to be you.
I like that it's called Obamacare. Oh, no, it's okay. No,
it's okay.
No
like
insult,
it.
Mr. Romney. Or, I don't mind it being Obamacare.
Tom, real quick, your comment?
Mike, did you listen to our earlier discussion in regards to the U.S. Supreme Court and who will select the next few Supreme Court justices and how important that is to the issue of the definition of marriage and to the life issues? Did you listen to that?
Yeah, yes, I did. And if I could add one thing to these, which these are all great reasons, but once again, for people that are on the edge, they look at who Mitt Romney put in, open homosexuals in the Massachusetts Supreme Court. They look at the $50 abortion copays. They look at what Romney has done in the past.
Mike, we said earlier that he had to deal with overwhelmingly Democratic state, overwhelmingly Democratic lawmakers, that the issue is, if nothing else, who will he appoint as U.S. Supreme Court Justice, the Elizabeth Kagans or the John Roberts? And I think that alone ought to decide you to get in there and pull the lever for Mitt Romney.
Well, and I agree with you on those points, but there's a deeper theological question that I guess I want to know your guys' insight on. Nobody's perfect. I think we can understand and both agree on that. But knowing where Mitt Romney has been when he's been up against a place of opposition, it's like it has to be the perfect storm for him to be conservative, is how it's saying, and that's why it's like this.
But with that mindset, I mean, look, the Bible is full of stories where God took failed individuals. Look at Paul. Took failed individuals and made them, and I'm not saying that's going to happen to Mitt Romney, but I mean, I think if I screwed up as a kid, and I did, okay, if I'm always going to be judged by something I did 20, 30 years ago, then what kind of redemption story do I have out there if that's always going to be saddled on me?
Here's the other thing to think of. If Obama wins this election, we don't really give credit to the Democrats. We give credit to the Republicans, the Christians, who chose not to vote for Romney.
Not good enough for me. I mean, it's not lesser to two evils for me. It's not good enough for me. I mean, that's where it's at. Because you know what? It's more important for me to go home. And so when I'm sitting around with my friends and everything's going to hell in a handbasket, I can look you in the eye and say, you know what, guys, I didn't vote for it. If that's more important for you, then stay on your lesser two evils kick, because that's what you're going down to.
Exactly. I agree with that.
Tom, last thoughts?
I couldn't agree with what Craig said more. I think it's very important that we get the people of faith out in November to vote, if nothing else, against Obama.
Brian?
I hope Romney makes it in, and either way, I encourage this entire Christian nation to put it in deep prayer and pray for our leaders.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing that we got to do right now is we've got to pray for our leaders because, I mean, all in all, from 3,000 miles up, Washington's broken.
Yep.
Whether you got an R or a D behind your name,
And
Washington's busted.
All the way down to the 1 foot level.
Yeah,
the families are broken.
Yeah,
the values in the families are broken.
Yeah, the values are lost, and the debt that we're going to leave our grandchildren. What do they say? 40,000 bucks.
50,000.
50,000. Your kid's born with a $50,000 debt.
Yeah.
All right, we appreciate you being here on this gorgeous, really gorgeous fall day here in central Iowa. Craig Robinson will be back the day after the election, and to hopefully we'll all be celebrating that a Romney win is a better thing for America than 4 more years of a Democratic Party which denied God 3 times on national television. You don't think God's not trying to send us a message through the Old Testament and the New Testament of biblical times when the Democratic Party denies God 3 times on national TV? Think about it. Pray about it. And I'll see you tomorrow right here on The View from a Pew. I think